Job security is no longer a personal achievement. It is a system property. For decades, professionals believed stability came from performance, loyalty, accumulated expertise, and internal reputation. If you delivered results, avoided visible mistakes, maintained political alignment, and stayed within budget, you were considered safe. That logic is expiring. Inside modern enterprises, security no longer attaches to individuals. It attaches to architectures, to systems that produce repeatable outcomes without dependency on specific humans. If you earn between $100,000 and $150,000 a year, this shift does not just threaten employment. It pressures pricing power. It slows raise velocity. It weakens negotiating leverage. The question is no longer, are you good at your job? The question is, does the system require you at your current compensation level? The structural driver is instrumentation. Enterprise stacks now integrate CRM platforms like Salesforce, enterprise resource planning systems like SAP, cloud infrastructure like Amazon Web Services, identity layers such as Okta, and workflow engines like ServiceNow. These systems coordinate work, escalate issues, enforce policy, trigger approvals, and log performance in real time. When signals move automatically between systems, coordination stops being a human moat. Historically, job security and salary growth lived in the gaps, in the friction between departments, in the lag between data collection and executive review. Professionals who interpreted ambiguity created value because systems could not reconcile inconsistencies on their own. But that latency is being engineered out. Dashboards surface anomalies without manual compilation. Revenue leakage triggers alerts automatically. Compliance violations are logged and blocked by rule engines. Procurement approvals route through policy frameworks instead of inbox threads. Organizations are redesigning around direct visibility. When leadership sees performance in real time through centralized analytics, dependency shifts. The system becomes the source of truth. It assigns tasks. It escalates exceptions. It documents accountability. Individual effort matters less than the architecture you operate inside. This is not primarily about layoffs. It is about compensation elasticity. When a workflow becomes standardized, automated, and governed through code, the market value of the human previously stabilizing it declines. Replaceability becomes measurable. Measurable replaceability compresses salary ceilings. Finance departments automated reconciliations through robotic process automation. Human resources integrated applicant tracking systems with onboarding and identity governance. Customer support moved to AI-driven routing engines. Risk teams embedded compliance rules directly into transaction systems. The goal was not to remove people. The goal was to remove variance. When variance declines, fewer humans are required to manage outcomes. Bargaining power weakens for those operating within predefined lanes. Most professionals misread this shift. They assume job security increases if they upskill aggressively. They collect certifications in analytics, cybersecurity, or artificial intelligence fundamentals. They believe technical fluency guarantees relevance. But skill accumulation does not equal structural necessity. If enterprise architecture reduces variance and codifies decision pathways, the organization requires fewer people to intervene. Even highly skilled individuals become optional if the system absorbs their core function. Job security now behaves like uptime in a data center. It is designed into infrastructure. It is not granted to operators. Compensation attaches to scarcity, not effort. Software consolidation accelerates this. Companies standardize on unified platforms instead of fragmented tools stitched together manually. Data flows through shared schemas and identity layers. Reporting refreshes across departments with minimal adjustment. When software layers converge, so do roles. The professional whose value came from translating between Salesforce and SAP or reconciling Amazon Web Services billing with finance reports loses pricing leverage. The liaison becomes redundant when systems communicate through integration pipelines. Compliance automation embeds governance into code. Transactions that violate thresholds are blocked automatically. Audit logs are generated continuously. Approval matrices are enforced without interpretation. In this model, security and compensation attach to the control layer, not the oversight role. Cloud cost management follows the same pattern. Automated tools scale resources based on utilization metrics and enforce budget thresholds without committee review. The individual becomes a supervisor of automation, not the executor of judgment. Supervisory roles are fewer by design. Enterprises invest in integration, orchestration, identity governance, and observability platforms. These layers centralize control and compress discretion. Centralized control reduces the need for distributed interpretation. A new hierarchy forms. At the top sit those who design and control systems: enterprise architects, platform owners, policy engineers, data infrastructure leads, integration strategists. Their leverage grows because they define configuration, vendor selection, data structure, permission models, and exception thresholds. Below them are operators whose performance depends on predefined workflows. Their autonomy narrows. Their compensation growth depends on alignment with system constraints. At the base are roles focused on coordination between tools and teams. These compress first because integration eliminates their core function. The exposure map is about adjacency to control. If your value proposition centers on interpretation within a stable stack, your bargaining power is declining even if reviews remain positive. If you influence how systems are configured, how policy is encoded, how permissions are structured, and how exceptions are defined, your leverage increases because you shape dependency. Layoffs feel surprising because individuals measure output, while organizations optimize for stability and simplicity. Tenure does not provide insulation. Senior professionals face compression because their compensation reflects historical complexity. When systems simplify operations, that complexity premium erodes. Organizations eliminate latency before they eliminate people. Once latency falls below a threshold, headcount and compensation bands adjust. Security is now conditional on systemic relevance. Salary growth follows structural necessity. Ask 3 questions. Where is control centralized in your organization? Who configures the systems that define policy and data flow? Who defines exceptions and escalation logic? If you operate inside those definitions, your leverage is constrained. If you shape those definitions, your leverage compounds. Security is no longer a reward for loyalty, it is an attribute of infrastructure. And infrastructure belongs to those who design it.